Welcome to the Pump and Dump channel for another video. This time just on this Saturday, Sunday, talking just about the portfolio and putting some ideas out into the realm, let's say. So I updated the prices here to show how the performance is standing. So it's looking pretty good here with 208% gains since inception. About to complete the first year. In a couple of days, so it's looking very positive here. In terms of the positions, African Gold Group still waiting for the updated technical report to come out, I would say in the next month or two, and we'll see then what the results are showing there. Should be positive. I mean, I don't see how it could be any more negative than what the market is pricing in at this point in time, but it can always become more negative, you never know. Range Resources, I looked at it again. I've done some more extensive calculations, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that it's peaked for me. I mean, it's not necessarily that it's peaked long term, but in terms of the value, I did have a target in the 20s, but I feel like the oil price does not really have to rise much more than it already has. It's in the 70s now for WTI. I just don't feel like it has to go up anymore. So I'm thinking here that if I use a more conservative way to value the stock, it's only about 13.50 a share. More aggressive valuation is yeah, it's around the 16 to $18 a share, but you never know. I mean, there can always be a parabolic move where the stock just takes off and goes to 25, which is possible in terms of a very aggressive valuation that you can come up with. But in terms of being conservative, I think that 13.50 is where the fair value is at. So I'm going to be selling this one in this coming week for the theoretical model portfolio. I was going to make a video about it on Friday, but I don't know why, but my microphone was not working, so I couldn't speak. so yeah, I've sold a lot of my Range Resources in the last what was it? Was it Thursday and Friday? I sold most of it, and yeah, PBF Energy. And before I cover that, I'll talk about where the money is going to be going, and it's going to be going into Cabot Oil and Gas, because they have kind of announced with Cimarex that they're going to be merging in Q4, and I saw the analysts were like very negative on it, but I've looked at valuing Cimarex, I've looked at valuing Cabot Oil and Gas. They talked about combination here of business to lead to savings in the SG&A segment of 100 million a year, which is obviously good, but it's only, you know, depending on how you value 100 million of savings per year, yeah, you know, relative to the market cap, it's not really that much. But I think here is the plan, and the analysts, of course, not mentioning that. Maybe they don't see it. Maybe they don't want to let the market know that this is the plan, because it's an acquisition that on its face doesn't make really much sense. But in terms of what Cabot has said in the past, that they would be looking for a company of equal standing in terms of the financial positioning. They do kind of fit together in that sense. But I think the key here is in terms of Cabot Oil and Gas, and you can see here like EQT has outperformed it with the natural gas prices and the oil prices rising, because they have exposure, highly exposed to natural gas, but they also have some natural gas liquids and some oil, not much, but they do have a little bit of that, and as a consequence, also due to the fact that I think they're growing a lot more than Cabot Oil and Gas is and has been over the last years, they get a more favorable valuation, just like Range Resources has gotten. And with Cabot Oil and Gas, they are getting kind of getting priced like a mature company that's only going to, you know, produce what it has based upon prevailing futures prices, and Cimarex here, because they are still growing very strongly, they get a more favorable valuation metrics. Like it's kind of like like if you give something a discounted cash flow versus a growth, like a good and growth model, this kind of difference between these two models can often lead to one entity looking much better under one than on the other. So with the combination here, I don't know if this makes sense to the people who are listening to this, but to me it makes a lot of sense that Cabot can transform from a mature producer that's not experiencing more than single-digit growth in its reserve from converting the resource into reserves. They're going to transform themselves back into a growth company, and hopefully they'll get a more favorable valuation as Cimarex and others in the space get. And if they do that, then this part of Cabot, I would say, is worth up to $40 a share, and Cimarex between 64 and 84 is kind of where I think is. 64 is the bare minimum, but 64 I think as a reasonable valuation for going into the next year, depending on how they succeed, is where it is at. So combining the two in terms of how they are valued could lead to a big appreciation. I think Cabot, which is going to be the main company, with Cimarex merging into them, even though Cimarex is the shareholders are going to get the larger parts. This is how I understood it. Cabot will, depending on then how you value it, be worth up to $27, $28 a share, which would be very accretive to shareholders. And I don't think that, even if you're conservative, Cabot, what's it worth now? It's worth like 1770 or so, I think. And Cimarex, I would say, is worth about 72. So these are kind of trading where they should be. Downside here, of course, on Cimarex 64 to 84. So if we go midway, 74 would also look good. They're kind of trading near fair value, and as a consequence of that, I don't see much downside, but I do see the upside potential. So that's a good thing. So Cabot Oil and Gas is going to be probably Monday. I'll sell Range Resources at the end of the day, and we'll then take that and make the transaction here. So next one here, PBF Energy. Yeah, they've gone up, come down, gone back up. Who knows exactly what's going to happen? I'm still very positive on it going above 20 in the near term. I think August, that time frame, I think I think then it will be higher by then, but we'll see. I mean, I've been wrong on timing on some things in the past, and just the way it goes. Safe Bulkers here. Yeah, the dry bulk shipping sector is still doing very well, with the rates still high and in parts increasing as I see it. Looks good. CNX, yeah, it's very stable. It's yeah, it's difficult to assess here where this one is going. I think between 12 and 17 is kind of the range. So maybe at 16 it would be a sell, to trade it against the traders, and at 12 buying back or buying more, whichever way it goes. So we'll see. Petrobras here has gotten close to my $12 target I set out a while ago when I put in the portfolio. It got to like, I can't remember how high, but it was like 11.80 something, I think. So it's gotten close to the $12 here. I received, I think I received a dividend already. I don't know. Who cares? Doesn't really matter. It's not much. So yeah, this, of course, the oil price has improved. The Brazilian real has stayed relatively stable in the last couple of weeks, and it should probably be higher. I don't know exactly. I have not reassessed this one. This is just too much work to do quickly, and mainly that is because they keep, selling assets and repaying debts, and it's a lot of work to follow it. Next one here, PetroChina has gotten up to 45. This is obviously going slowly, but it's steady. I'm very happy with the shares I have here, both here and in my own portfolio. I have 300 shares in my own portfolio. I remember buying them at, I think it was 36.15 or so. Yeah, this is good. DSX Dana Shipping, just like Safe Bulkers, has been going nicely up. Here it's of course the higher exposure to the Capesize part of the business has helped them a lot. I think I mentioned that was the rationale for moving money from Safe Bulkers into Dana Shipping. I could have gone into Golden Ocean, because Golden Ocean is, like, from what I remember, almost all it's almost all of it is Capesize vessels, and there's some other ones that have even higher exposure to the Capesize and Dana Shipping, but I didn't do enough work to come up with understanding what it's worth and what the fair value is, and as a consequence I've been in DSX for the most part, and I only had like 100 shares in Golden Ocean that I remember buying back in, I can't remember when it was, but it was like $6 and something, and I remember selling them at 8 something, 8.80 maybe, because I needed some money for something else, and yeah, that's how it went. Silver Corp Metals it's been as high as I think 675 or so. It's not really doing much. It's just going slow and steady. It depends here on the silver price. Will the silver price pop up or will it pop down? In terms of the fair value, I mean, it's the fair value, if you're conservative, it's a little bit above this here, but if we go with, using the mark-to-market valuations for the investments, is still in the 7s, so we'll see here what happens with this. I don't see a reason to sell it unless the silver price fell like $3 or so and the price was still above 6, then I would reevaluate, but the way it stands here, there's no real need here for action at this point in time. There is of course one thing that is of a concern, or two things actually. In terms of production, they had in their presentation given guidance of what they expected to produce, and it was not really what they expected to produce in the quarterly reports. They had increases in costs in terms of labor. What were the contractors were getting paid like 14% more, which is of course not factored into this technical study, so that is not reflected. And they talked about capex rising. So here I think the way I see it, the silver price will go up to make up for the higher cost of producing, and if we're lucky we'll see it go back to $8 a share or so and start considering selling it at that point. And if it goes down, I mean, it's not going to kill me. African Gold Group I talked about. Next one here, Lundin Mining, is down a little from when I put it into the portfolio. Don't know what to say. I mean, here we have the election in Chile in, I think it's November. That's the main worry on the market. I think going into the election there's going to be two scenarios. The price will be low and election goes positive, and then it spikes after election, or the price remains low and the election turns out badly and the price remains low. So that's kind of, I can win or I can not lose much. And the other possibility, the one I'm hoping for, is that going into the election the polls will look positive on the pro-business Chile candidate, or whatever the story is, and the stock rises going into the election, and then there'll be a plan here of selling into the strength that is being built, because oftentimes I've seen that when you have like an event like an election, going into the election the market is positive and then the market is slaughtered, and I think it's because the insiders, not like the insiders in the company, but like the insiders who are trading the market, the Goldman Sachs people, they have good data, they know what's going on in the elections, they probably pay the officials to give them the results early and give them preliminary results of how it's going, and if they see that the election is going badly against them, they bid up the stock to make people think it's going up, kind of like the Rothschilds type of move in whenever it was with the Waterloo battle, when he was selling as if Napoleon had won. Then as other people saw that he was selling, they jumped onto the bandwagon, sold with him, and then he bought them all up, and he had the last laugh. So I think this is the scenario I'm envisaging, rallying going into the election in a few months' time, and as the hope builds that the pro-business candidate will win, sell into the strength and laugh all the way to the bank, and then see what we can buy with the money, right? Century Aluminum, it fell to 12 after I bought it. Like in 2 days after I bought it, it fell to 12, and it's been hovering between 12 and 14, mostly around 13 the last couple of days or weeks, going kind of sideways. The aluminum price is looking positive. I think the aluminum price is about to break up to the upside on the chart, and therefore I think here this will go up. In terms of the fair value, I put down 28 at the time. This is a very volatile stock in terms of moving, the fair value moving relative to the aluminum price. So a few dollars, like a percentage increase in aluminum price, can lead to or decrease can lead to a lot of change in fair value. So here I've looked at it with different methods, of course, of valuing it, but always remaining on the discounted cash flow basis, and the most stable valuation is around 19, so there's about 50% upside, and the $19 target includes the development that's going on, bringing on the pot line. I think it's in Kentucky, where they have the new pot line coming on at the end of the year, and with that development, the fair value would be $19 on a conservative basis. Without that development, that additional pot line, the fair value would only be like $14.50 or so. So I think that's kind of where it's trading on a negative sentiment. It's that's why it's down here in the $13 range. But as we go into the end of the year on the pot line and the quarterly update, the next quarterly update, the progress on that is mentioned. I think that we will see the the markets coming to show more interest and bid it up towards that. I think the sell-off after the earnings report is related to the sentiment that was created from analysts not getting the questions answered that they wanted to the to the fullest extent that they wanted, which was based upon the hedge book that they have kind of built up, and where they had accumulated some losses for the quarter, and the analysts wanted to know the details of those hedges, and the company was not going to reveal them, and that's a sentiment thing. And I guess in terms of seeing that coming, I didn't necessarily see that coming that way, but I do remember similar types of events where there was a negative sentiment about what a company said, and led to a similar sell-off, and these things happen over and over again. It seems like every 2 or 3 quarters there's an upset and the stock sells off, and then how do they say, the bull comes back out and the bear goes back into the forest, and then all of a sudden, everyone likes the stock again and it goes up. And the same happened here with PBF Energy. They went up to 19, then they fell to 12, and now they got back to, I think 1860 or so was a recent high, and now they're kind of at 1750, and we'll see if they'll go down or go up. The crack spreads are relatively stable, but in terms of what's positive with PBF is that their inventory, just like all the other refineries, their inventory will be up significantly in value because of the crude oil they're holding. The gasoline and all the other refined products are all up nicely from the last quarter. So when they report their financials with the inventory valuation being up, it will look very positive on the next earnings report. So hopefully that will kind of lift it up, and with Century we'll see something like similar to that. I do think this goes back to 16 in the near term, and hopefully then it just shoots up to 19, which would be kind of like a double top on the chart, but we'll see how that ends up going. I'm still hopeful it gets into the 20s. 25 would be very nice. I do think that's possible, but it's not certain. So that's kind of how it looks. The only thing I'm not so positive on at the moment is the Range Resources, because I've looked at the oil price chart, and to me, even though technically it looks like it broke out, I'll just bring it up. We'll take a second. Like, I can see the case for why on the chart it looks bullish. I mean, to me, I thought this breakdown here, I thought that might be negative, but the price came back up and it's been trending up nicely here. The RSI has rebounded back to here, and that's why I kind of think here, yeah, the RSI at 70, I think, we can have like a pattern down, and this going up whilst this is going down usually ends in something like like you see here, the RSI was going down, whereas the oil price was slowly hovering higher, and eventually we had a big sell-off. And we'll see, of course, here, like if it falls to 68 and falls through 68, we'll see if it comes down to 50, 55 in the next coming months, and how that will look. So this is kind of my concern, is I don't think we have to go higher. We're close to the 2018 high. If we go back in time to 2008, we were up here at 150. We fell to 35 or 30, and when it got back up to like 115 or 120, which is like an 80% rebound from where the high was. So that's an 80% rebound to the high. If we look here, the high was 76, and 80% of 76 would be I think it would be 60. Yeah, 60, and we are way above that. So I mean, I've seen like people calling for, like Bank of America calling for $100 oil. Bank of America was also calling for $3,000 gold, and I just don't think it's going to happen. I mean, the best case scenario here would be to take out the 2018 high, go maybe like 10% above it to 80, 82, and that would be it. But here at 77, if we look back, we have like also here some clear line here, 77, saying no more. So I think this will eventually roll over, and as it does, I'll be safer in Cab Oil and Gas merging with Cimarex than in Range Resources. So yeah, I mean, that's the way I see it. Bit long of a video, but just wanted to share my thoughts about what I'm seeing here, what I'm thinking. And in terms of the positions, yes, silver core metals is maybe going to be a bit weak, but we'll see. and CNX is also going to be stable, let's call it. You know, not to say weak, but it's going to be stable. I do still think it has a potential of increasing its reserves a lot, just like Range Resources has the potential to do. But Range Resources is, yeah, it is, I don't know how to say it, but I think it's possible that it does go down in the near future. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, gonna end the video. Remember, not investment advice, not recommendations to buy or to sell or to do anything. If you know, if you're not planning to do anything, don't change your mind because of me. And yeah, have a good day.